Peter Parker was a nerdy high school student before being bit by a radioactive spider and gaining the power to become Spider-Man. Peter did not initially use his powers to become the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that we all know and love. At first, he was more interested in how he could use his powers for monetary gain and getting revenge on those who had wronged him. Like his high school bully, Flash Thompson. One day, Peter's Uncle Ben, his legal guardian, decided to confront Peter about his behavior. He cared about Peter and his future, so he gave him some much-needed feedback that would actually go on to impact the course of Peter's life. Let's dive in and see why this feedback was so effective and impactful.
Thanks for the ride, Uncle Ben.
Oh, wait a minute, Peter. We need to talk.
Well, we can talk later.
Well, we can talk now.
Alright, pause here. Here at the start, Uncle Ben takes the important step of setting the tone for the feedback. This is much easier in a formalized and scheduled feedback. But with an informal feedback, like Uncle Ben is giving here, it is just as important. He's letting Peter know from the start that this is a conversation that should not be taken lightly. Alright, let's continue.
We haven't talked at all for so long, your Aunt May and I don't even know who you are anymore. You shirk your chores, you have all those weird experiments in your room, you start fights at school.
Let's pause. Here Uncle Ben provides context and observations for Peter's actions. He first gives Peter context for the conversation by explaining that over the past few weeks, others have noticed a change in his behavior that they see as a problem. Uncle Ben is also clear on which behaviors exactly are the source of the problem. For feedback to be effective, people need to understand as much as possible the when, where, and what of their inappropriate behavior. Let's continue on.
Well,
I didn't start that fight, I told you that.
Yeah, well, you sure as hell finished it.
Pause here. Right here is an important part of the feedback. You are likely to receive some pushback from the person receiving the feedback. Like Uncle Ben, you need to be able to control the conversation and stay on the topic of their behavior. Let's continue.
Peter, these are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into.
This point in the feedback is maybe the most vital. This is when Uncle Ben informs Peter of the impact of his actions. When you are giving feedback, the impact you go over may be more external. Maybe the person to whom you are giving feedback has caused some kind of damage or harm to others. For Peter, the impact of his actions is more internal, and as Uncle Ben warns, could impact the kind of man he becomes one day. All right, let's move on.
This guy, Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to.
Pause here. Uncle Ben here shows how to counsel with empathy. This is not always possible for you, depending on what the infraction is, but if you are able to connect in some way with your people, that can be helpful for them receiving and implementing your feedback. Let's continue.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
This is not only the most iconic line in comic book history, but also important feedback for Peter personally that gave him a guide to live by. This worked for Uncle Ben, but in your feedbacks, you may need to be more specific in the next steps that your people need to take moving forward. Peter did not respond well to this feedback initially, which can often happen when people are confronted with their inappropriate behavior. But over time, this feedback from his Uncle Ben became a guiding light for Peter throughout the rest of his life. These words helped Peter become a man that his uncle would be proud of, defending the weak and helpless as Spider-Man. Uncle Ben's feedback helped Peter live up to his potential. This same result is entirely possible for you as you provide your people with feedback. Feedback is a gift for those who receive it, if it is given correctly. Make sure as a leader that you are not only diligent to provide feedback regularly, but that you take care to do so as effectively as possible. You never know when you might say something that could change somebody's life. Alright, till next time, keep on learning. Thank you for watching. Much of what I go over in my lessons can be found in my book, Mission First, People Always, which is available for purchase through the link in the description of the video. If you enjoyed today's video and want to watch more leadership lessons, then be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.